Hello everybody, welcome back. So let's have a quick excuse me, get my words out, at Bitcoin. And then I'm going to show you a coin that we've been looking at on the live streams, right? So we do these Patreon live streams twice a week, and Patreon members ask me to look at various different coins. And there's been one that's been turning up, every twice a week it would appear, and it has come down to an area of particular interest with a decent setup actually. So first, we'll have a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currently in this middle range, the medium range of what could be a much larger accumulation zone. A nice reaction yesterday from the announcement of the Fed, basically saying we're going to do what we said we're going to do. So a non-event really. So because they didn't come out with any sort of extremely bad news or anything, it would appear that the market's essentially priced in the announcement because it's no different to what anyone was expecting. This is the normal sort of thing that we should gather from these. It's very unlikely that he would have said, or they would have said, anything other than what they've basically hinted towards in the first place. So tapering continuing as basically predicted, and markets priced that in already. That's why we saw a bounce in both Dixie, which is the dollar. So the dollar went up, and also Bitcoin and the markets went up, which is not the sort of thing that your favourite influencers would often tell you. They'd often say that they're counter to each other, but it's often not the case. I mean, largely speaking, on a grand scale, then yeah, those sort of things are the same, which is why stocks go up, which is why commodities go up, because dollars basically, and every currency goes down incrementally, bit by bit, year over year on the long term. But yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw everything basically spike up, including the dollar. So interesting stuff, but at the same time priced in, which is what I think a lot of this was, priced in behaviour. And this is definitely what this was. This is the Megatron dump. Anyway, I've spoken long enough over the last few weeks, whether it be predicting the dump or basically explaining the dump afterwards. So now we can look at price action with a little bit more relevance, because it has been a hard trading environment with those sort of things out, lingering outside of the charts. So now that they're not exactly put to bed, but we can agree for the moment that they're all priced in, now we can finally start to look at the chart. And understanding that they're priced in and that we've had a reaction from the news, which isn't good news. I mean, it was basically news saying that they're going to taper the money printing, for want of a better phrase. I mean, that's basically what they're doing. They're going to slow down that because they think the economy is strong enough to handle it. So now what we can expect is probably for traditional markets is a slow grind up and moving up into January naturally. And same I would expect for Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin is a bit more of an emphasizer, if that's the real word. It's an amplifier of traditional markets at the moment, and I think that's how traditional markets are going to go. I think they're going to slowly grind sideways and up from here. It doesn't mean that they can't have their legs down, but all the bad news is already past, so there's nothing else to do other than trade charts, I would say. So with Bitcoin, we are still getting rejection on that 10 exponential and also the top of this accumulation zone, which is about 49 towards 50,000, right? This area, first of all, if it were to break, it would be okay, but we'd have to reclaim, I would say at this stage, this wick low at least, which is also the center of this Bollinger Band, which is about 51,500. Ideally, though, for me to get really bullish, we'd want to get back above this trend line, and also in this buy zone box. And again, all of that basically comes in at around 54,000, I'd say 54,000. So breakdown territory, also major support territory, and buy zone territory, initial buy zone. So that's where we can really flip and turn actually bullish. Until then, we're basically accumulating and dancing around with a bit of a bearish outlook, just based on the chart. But if we're looking over here at the histogram, it's like that meme of, I don't know if anyone's seen it. I mean, it's on my Telegram every now and then. It gets posted when the MACD makes a tiny little cross and the whole world goes mad. Oh my god, the MACD has crossed. There's a green histogram. There's a tick. It's good. Let's face it. I mean, it is good, but it's not the be all and end all. I mean, it's showing the momentum slowly changing to the up. We use that in line with the MACD, the RSI, and the money flow index. They're the three main momentum oscillators that I would use alongside price action. And they are all going up, but what we really want to see for the RSI is an RSI breakout on the daily. At the moment, we're still in this downtrend, which is fine because it's not bearish divergence anymore. This is basically it's basically downtrending. So a breakout of this would be great. And to be honest with you, I'd be thinking that we'd be looking for some kind of larger move up, maybe as soon as maybe this time next week. A breakout maybe as soon as this time next week, right? Because it looks like we're going sideways with momentum gathering to the up. But I'll be surprised to see any vicious move up at this stage. I'll be looking for sideways, zigzagging around here. Now, we can get particularly bearish if we break down below 46,600. That's basically where we've managed to more or less stay above. And if we start closing candle bodies on a daily, maybe even just a 4-hourly, to be honest, below 46,500, we should expect the lower area of the range to be tested. That would mean devastation for altcoins, because most altcoins are at significant supports, and so if those supports break, then they do free fall quite dramatically. So it would be quite a nasty drop for altcoins, even though it would for Bitcoin only be close to about 17%. Yeah, 17% from here to there. So yeah, I mean, there's reasons to be cautious for altcoin traders, but I am also not looking for a bear market, and I've said this from the outset. This is not bear market. This is downtrend, and it's emphasised by what's been taking place outside of the charts. So all those people that are calling for bear markets, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because we don't know that yet, but I would be very surprised if you were right. Let's put it that way. Right, so sideways action, potential break to the up based on what we see on this slow sort of move up on momentum, potentially next week. But don't be surprised to see a breakdown if we close a candle body below 46,500. Right, let's move on to the altcoin of choice. So this is something that I've been hesitant to play with because it's such low volume, but it has come up week after week on my Patreon Telegram, the Patreon live streams we do. And last night, even though this is still high risk because it trades at only 3 Bitcoins in a 24-hour period, it has a reasonable setup, to be honest with you, for what could either be a decent bot trade or maybe just a short-term spot position. This is a Bitcoin pair. It's Go to BTC. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it is. I don't really need to know. All I need to know is this chart looks actually okay for a risk, right? For taking a risk on it. So we had this long drawn out consolidation took place from March, right? So the March big move up, and basically that was the original alt season. We've been consolidating ever since. Quite dramatic, obviously, since May. And then still within the consolidation. Now over the last few weeks, or since November, basically we broke out of there, and this has gone into what would look to be like a consolidation. You can see when things break out of these trend lines. This is different because it's so low volume. When a little bit comes into it, it basically can move the market. We see this with these wicks. That's why I said that a bot trade, whether it's on Bitsgap, I don't know if this trades on Pionex. I'll have to have a look, but a bot trade might be useful for this one because that way you could make the most of the big moves up, which 43%, and then back down again the next day, then rinse and repeat, do the same thing all over again, another 38% back down again, rinse and repeat, and then back down again, up there to another 23%, rinse and repeat. This is actually very good for bot trading. This is a prime contender for a bot trade because you can sell all the way up, you can buy it all the way back down. You don't have to get stuck in a position watching it go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. You can actually make the most of it. So this, for those who like, because people often say to me, why don't you talk about bot trading pairs? Why aren't you ever telling us? I mean, I'm not here to trade for you, but and occasionally things do appear, on my radar, which do offer potential bot trading opportunities, and this is definitely one of them. This is the sort of behavior that you want. You want an uptrend, and you want it to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And if you had a bot trade on this one, this would have been a very profitable one, from the bottom line of this support, basically. But it still appears to be a decent bot trade at this level. Now we've got a golden cross for what it's worth. It's a weak one. We had one over here. It didn't materialize into anything. In fact, it broke all the way down to the low level. So you just got to be aware that it can be deceptive because it's such a low volume coin. The big moves up and the big moves down, it should be expected. It's not the greatest setup in the world, but if you wanted to try it, then there's nothing wrong with this setup as I suppose as a bit of a reasonable risk with the odds more in favour of you succeeding than failing, I would say, but still relatively high risk, basically just because of the low volume. But it is a nice looking chart based on this breakout of the consolidation into this is just an accumulation, and I'll be looking for this measured move. You could do one of these, like I say, we do these all the time. I suppose we want to know, don't we, what the max is, and this looks like if the breakout took place, well, we could measure it from here where it's snailed out. It would go up to more or less the majority of these wick highs, 135 sats, which from today's current price right now is 89%. That is not unlikely for that to take place. Now, whether it gains traction and continues up from there is yet to be seen. We see lots and lots and lots of altcoins that look like this, and this is why I always say, in the long term, there's only really one coin that you'd ever really want to hold long term, which is Bitcoin, because most altcoins look like this versus their Bitcoin pair, which basically tells you everything you need to know that Bitcoin is the only thing that you really want to hold long term, because pretty much every chart looks like this. So we're not looking for full reversals. Obviously, I know that's what the untrained eye might think and go, oh, but if I held on to this for a little bit longer, I would get one Bitcoin would now be 18 Bitcoins. No, I don't think it will, to be honest with you. I think it would end up with less than you started with if you held it for too long. But for the moment, this setup is relatively good. It's actually okay. So it might be worth thinking about taking a risk, whether it's a spot position or a bot position, but I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not financial advice. I don't know, like I say, I know that I do trading on Pionex, but if you really want some good bots that use Bitsgap, I've got links in the description for you below, and you can API attach all your favorite exchanges, so Bitsgap can go on anything really, I think, all the major ones. So you've got Binance, Kucoin, Gate.io, the list goes on. So you'd definitely be able to use it with Bitsgap. And if you wanted to try it, actually, it's 3 months for free. That might actually not be the case. I'm pretty sure it is, though. You get 3 months, no, not 3 months, 3 weeks for free if you use the link in the description. Other than that, if you want to continue after that, then you would have to pay a subscription charge. But like I say, most of the time you don't really hold a bot for a great deal of time. 3 weeks, you could probably, I've had bots on for less than 3 weeks, especially if you're thinking about a tight range. So have a think about it. Maybe the bot would be the preferred option on this one. But other than that, I thought I'd bring it to your attention. I can't remember the guy who brought this to our attention on the Patreon, but it is one that we have been looking at bit by bit, and I think it's got to the point now where if you really wanted to bite the bullet on it, we should bite the bullet, I suppose, and a bot trade would probably be the most profitable way to play this, at least in the short term. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.